Hi there. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at some practice problems related to unemployment. And so you're going to table with some labor market data for country X and that sort of thing. One thing that over the years students have pointed out to me is that discouraged workers are technically all within the marginally attached, right? So like that all of the discouraged are in marginally attached, and that kind of makes the math wonky. So we'll just say that these are not counted in the 40K, if that makes sense. So like these are just the generally marginally attached, and then there's this subcategory of them as well. So like the 20 isn't within the 40, or else the math is going to get harder. So first thing it says is calculate the unemployment rate in country X, show your work. And so we just remember that unemployment percent or unemployment rate is equal to the unemployed divided by the civilian labor force. Now, the hard part is actually knowing who's in the civilian labor force. Remember that basically, if you're in the labor force, you're one of two things: you're unemployed or you are employed. Nobody else is in the civilian labor force. So, in fact, that's kind of a relatively straightforward one. If you're employed or unemployed, that's all you have to do. So we can immediately look at it and say, well, the unemployed people, they count. Unemployed people count, unemployed people count, unemployed people count. Marginally attached do not count. Discouraged obviously do not count. Retirees and students don't count. So the labor force is just going to be these four groups up at the top. And so that's 180, 190, plus 5 is 200. And then we just say, what's the number of unemployed? Well, 10, 5, and 5 is 20. So 10%. Okay. Now, the next part, calculate the labor force participation rate. Labor force participation rate is equal to the labor force divided by the total population. And so for this one, right, everybody is included in the total population. It'll just kind of keep our math simple. And so we'd say that the total pop is this, which we already calculated. That's 200 plus 60 plus 40 is another 100. And so the total population is 300. Now we have to figure out who's actually in the labor force. And if you remember, we already did that in the previous question. The labor force is just the employed and the unemployed. And so it's 200 over 300, or 67%. Okay. Now, the last part here says draw a correctly labeled graph of the production possibilities curve for country X with consumer on the horizontal and capital on the vertical axis. And so for this one, it doesn't matter if you put the PPC goods, not goops. Sorry, you can't see what I'm working on. It doesn't matter if you make the PPC that bowed out showing that there's increasing opportunity costs. You can do it as a straight line. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to make mine curved because I like drawing the curved line. It's fun. Then it says indicate a point on your graph labeled Z that reflects the current level of unemployment. Now, I haven't taught you everything you have to know to answer this question correctly, but there are actually 3 different types of unemployment, and one of the types is called cyclical. And cyclical unemployment means that we have some level of unemployment caused by a recession. It's caused by the business cycle, right? It goes up and down and up and down. Remember way back months and months ago, we talked about the business cycle with recessions and expansions. And that's where cyclical comes from, the business cycle of up and downs. And so if we have unemployed people as a result of the business cycle, we are in a recession. So I'm just going to put off to the side over here, if greater than 0, then recession. Right? That's kind of all you have to know there. So now we should be able to do this. What's a recession? Well, it's a point underneath the curve. Ta-da, done. Hopefully that helped you. See you next time.